we are talking artificial intelligence today, and I'm excited about this topic, partly because it's talked about all the time, but we're also talking about practical tips. And so I think that's going to be really good. So we've often heard artificial intelligence, but often it's in this very broad context. So Kelly's going to help us think about it very specific to content marketing. I'm going to facilitate our session. My name is Tom Wadelton. I am a virtual CFO at Summit Virtual CFO by Anders. So I work with clients every day. I've got about 15 different clients that we help through a pipeline review, forecast process, financial statements, and give them general business advice. So a couple of administrative things before we jump into today. You will get poll questions that we really need you to answer to get CPE credit. If you want to interact with us, that question function is the best way to do that. And I will monitor those and make sure we get as many questions answered as we can during the time. And then the question that we get most commonly is, were there slides that came out ahead of time? Can I get the slides after? And can I get my CPE? So trying to answer that right here. Yes, you will get the replay within about 2 business days. If you answer the poll questions, we will go ahead and send out those CPE certificates. I mentioned a second ago that I work for Summit Virtual CFO by Anders. So let me tell you a little bit about our firm. A little bit more than 20 years ago, Adam and Jody started the firm as a traditional accounting firm. So taxes, audit, like lots of firms. About 2 years later, we started offering CFO and back office services. For the next 10 years, we continued developing that. In 2013, we became a fully distributed firm. No offices, gave us tons of flexibility for employees and clients and where they were located. At the same time, we really doubled down on CFO services being the prime offering from our firm. 2 years ago, we joined we joined Anders, CPA and Advisors, and became a combined group. And so now we are a Summit Virtual CFO by Anders. So Anders has a office-based hybrid environment in St. Louis. We continue to be the remote company, and we have this virtual CFO group. So a little bit about us. Okay, about our speaker. So Kelly Schuknecht is our marketing director, and Kelly, you and I have worked together for the past at least 6 years since I've been with the firm.
6 or
How
7.
long have you been? 6 or 7? Okay.
Yep.
So I've really enjoyed working with you. I'm looking forward to today. What I've learned about Kelly is she has led our team very effectively from a marketing organization and is also recognized as a thought leader, especially around inbound marketing and content marketing. So I'm really excited about this topic, Kelly. So maybe as introduction, tell us a little bit about you, and then we'll jump into the AI for content marketing.
Yeah. So Tom, we've done several of these presentations together, and I like to start with 3 things about me. Today, I'm just going to do 2. I'm just going to shorten it a little bit because it gets a little long sometimes. I just put in here a couple pictures just to introduce you, get to know, so that you can get to know me a little bit. So I have this picture of the view from my house. This is the view from my deck. Tom knows this area. It's a popular area in Colorado for athletes. People come here to run run and bike crazy races that are 100 miles. So beautiful area. I also like to share what I'm currently reading, or what I've recently read, but this one I'm currently reading. So this is Oh Beautiful by Jung Yun. And just fun fact about this one, I am friends with Jung's husband from back in the 20s, right around college age. And when she published her first book, Shelter, I read it right away. And then now I'm reading this one. It's really, really good. Anything you're reading, Tom?
A business book right now.
Did I put you on the spot?
That's
there?
okay.
Sorry.
No, it's a business book right now called The Life Strategy Circle. And it's one that Jody had shared with me. And the concept I really like. The writing is a little bit that I'm not loving that, but that's one that I read recently.
Okay. Besides the 5 dysfunctions of a team. We're reading for our upcoming retreat in a couple weeks. So we're both also kind of reading that, or maybe you've already finished it. But that's a little bit about me. Today we're going to cover using AI for your content marketing strategy. So when I think about content marketing, I kind of put in all of these things that you might think about with content marketing, whether it's webinars, infographics, written content like ebooks, white papers, articles, blog posts, and then our social media posts, video content, all of those pieces, right? But today we're going to focus specifically on these 5. So blog posts and articles, which I'm going to combine in the next slides, and then video content, podcasts or audio content, and social media posts. So we're going to focus specifically on those. I know, Tom, we were talking earlier about how when we talk about AI, there's all kinds of things we can be talking about, right? But today we're going to talk specifically about how it relates to your content marketing.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And
with that, Kelly, I launched the first polling question for people.
Got it. Okay, so we're going to go through in this order. So blog posts, articles, then we're going to cover video, podcast, and then social media. I'm going to so I've told Tom to interrupt me with questions for clarification, and also for you all in the audience, if you would put them, in the questions box, because I'm going to get really into details of how to do this, and I'm going to give you some really practical tools that you can walk away with. Just a reminder that if you're here live, we will have the slides for you. We'll send those out to you. So any of these tools I'm sharing, if you're not capturing it in the moment, you will get that in your inbox afterwards. And if you're watching this on YouTube, then you can just pause it. All right, so getting into blog post and article content. So I wanted to start with ChatGPT. So Tom, I want to share your story. This was what was it? We were in St. Louis. So it was our pod retreats, or one of our retreats last year, where you told the story of how you used ChatGPT. Do you remember what you said? Because I'd like you to tell that story.
Is this the gift one?
Yes.
Yes. And I think this is really good. So yes, I have used GPT to some extent, choosing gifts for people. And if you can put in, this is what I know about Kelly, and maybe it's 8 different adjectives, just from what you've just said: loving reading, lives in Colorado, I know that you've run a marathon. If you put in these things, give me 10 gift ideas, and it will spit out things that are much more creative than what I had thought of. And my daughter used it for this thing and ended up giving her friend a personalized Bengals jersey with her name on the back, that her friend said was like, this was like the best gift ever. And my daughter had said, I wouldn't have thought of that, but once I put in, these are the things I know about her, it gave out these gift ideas. And then you don't tell them that AI picked it. You just act like you're this really thoughtful person that personalizes gifts. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. I loved that story. So I thought it would be great for you to share that. So my journey with ChatGPT, I was at a retreat a conference about a year ago, where people were telling me how they were using it. And I had just started to learn about it. And I was actually in Portugal and for that conference. And on the way home from that conference, I bought the internet from the flight, because it was like a 6-hour flight. And I sat on that flight the entire time and typed in every question I could think about. And I was like, oh my gosh, it was like that mind-blowing moment of this is amazing. So I'm about a year into using ChatGPT. I'd love to hear from the audience, if you would just put it in the Q&A box and just tell us how much experience you have with ChatGPT. So are you kind of, are you kind of playing around with it? Do you feel like you're an expert in ChatGPT? Have you never even used it before? Just kind of so I have an idea of your level of experience.
Okay. I'll read those to you, Kelly. Our first poll question had to do, where were you most likely to start? And we had 45% of the people said analyzing client data. And then just behind that, 40% of the people said create content and writing. And then a little bit for meeting summaries and other.
Great.
So how often you're using it? The one response we've gotten so far has been, I use it daily.
Okay. I love that no one said AI has no future in our company, because I think that says that I think a year ago, there were people saying that, right? But now here we are a year later, and people are like, I gotta figure this out, right?
1 year ago, we had a retreat in the spring and we talked about ChatGPT, and most of the people had said they thought 1 year before that they had probably never even heard of it, and how quickly it became to sort of everyone kind of knew about it. So I got another answer: using it occasionally, helping in writing emails, memos, and client communication.
Great. Okay, great. Well, so for generating blog post content, we're going to talk about ChatGPT specifically. Sounds like there's some experience here, so that's great. It won't be new to people. And then Answer the Public, which just is another tool for helping with generating ideas. And then we're going to cover graphic creation in Canva. So there's a lot to look at on the screen, and don't worry about looking at everything and trying to read it, but I just wanted to show an example. So this was an example of I just put in a prompt, this is a prompt. Now you can copy and paste, you can tweak it however you want. So the prompt being, you are a tax professional. This is highlighted because this is a term you can just swap out with whatever you want, right? So you are a virtual CFO. You are a whatever kind of specific title you want to give ChatGPT. Working with, and then I just used kind of our target audience for virtual CFO services. So small to medium-sized businesses with 2 to 10 million in annual revenue. You said, again, swap that out with kind of what your ideal client profile is. You have worked in this field for 20 years. What are the top 10 tax-related questions? So again, swap that out with, virtual CFO related questions, or, whatever kind of topic you want to cover, or kind of start getting ideas for. That questions that business owners ask you. So you can see the response here. It's, and the reason I learned this, or I heard this recently, and it helped me understand the reason you want to tell ChatGPT who to be, who you want it to be, is ChatGPT is reading everything, right? Everything it's been fed, everything on the internet, all of the things that it's been fed, and there's a lot of junk in that too. So it's not just like if you ask a question, you're not necessarily going to get the best answer unless you help ChatGPT understand how to get more specific, and to get more, trained in who you want it to be, right? So in this case, and you can expand on this, but this was a general kind of prompt to get some questions that would give me an idea of how to start a blog post. So, given my 2 decades of experience as a tax professional, this is the response he gives me. And then the 10 questions. So Tom, I'm not an accountant, but Tom, are these questions that you feel like you have heard? So, and Tom, you probably have 20 plus years of experience in accounting.
Yes. Yeah. Not as much a tax professional, but I definitely have heard these kinds of questions, and they look like the kind of general ones, and they're actually stated in the way more that clients tend to ask questions, that I like, that part versus maybe quoting an IRS code or something where if you're trying to explain to someone, you would have to change the way you're explaining it.
Yeah, that's great. So so just, first question, how can I determine the most tax efficient structure for my business? Just gives you like a really oh, that's a great question. And if you're the type of person who can just answer that question, you could record a video. You could, what I recommend doing is getting lists like this, looking at these lists and then putting them somewhere. You guys are accountants, so, maybe you put them in an Excel spreadsheet, whatever that is, looks like for you to organize your content or your content ideas, right? Or maybe you write them down in a notebook, whatever. But you're not always, and you'll hear me say this several times throughout this presentation, you're not always going to get perfect responses, but it's going to be a really good starting point, right? So these 10 questions, I might read through them. Maybe there's 3 that I like, maybe there's 9 that I like, whatever. And I'm going to pull that and put it somewhere else. This is kind of just the content idea, kind of brainstorming time of coming up with those content ideas and what you want to write about. So here's just another example. So similar thing, but I kind of swapped out some of those, those, like what's that? Ad libs, where you can swap out the
so you're filling in adjectives or adverbs or whatever. Yes.
Yeah. Yep. So prompt. You are an accounting professional working with, and I didn't change this, but same size businesses, and you've worked in this field for 20 years. What are your top 5 or top finance related questions? So, gives you another list of questions. I mean, you could do this 100 times and come up with 100 new questions, but you might start noticing some patterns in them or some keywords that kind of keep coming up again and again. Okay, so answer the public. So next kind of phase in the brainstorming, or next kind of tip in the brainstorming phase is answer the public. So I've covered this before in one of our webinars. Answer the Public is a great resource for coming up with ideas. So in this example, I used business cash flow. So you can see in the search box here, I put in business cash flow. Answer the Public on the next screen is going to give me, maybe not, I was going to say literally a million, maybe not literally a million, but a lot of ideas around that keyword that I put in there. So this is a really difficult way of looking at it, but the first thing that pops up on the screen is going to be this circle, and you're going to see all of these kind of questions. I'll show you on the next couple screens some better ways to look at this. But this just to give you an idea here. So it gave me, let's see, 62 questions that I can answer. It helps me understand kind of the search volume of like how many people are searching or how many times people are searching on these kind of terms. So here's a little easier way to look at it. I can kind of present what it gives you back, like the output differently. So in this way, I'm looking at the how question. How is business cash flow calculated? How to manage business cash flow? And it's going to give me all of these different kind of ways of approaching that same keyword, same content. But if you know this is a certain topic I want to cover in multiple ways on my blog or in whatever type of content, this is going to help you come up with more and more ideas for how you can approach that topic.
I really like this, Kelly, because my usual approach is, well, what questions do I get frequently? And if I'm really honest with myself, in our niche, I think I've got 8 different clients. And so I get a lot of questions. But to think that those are the questions that all the owners in this kind of industry have is kind of foolish, because I don't see everything. So going out here, and I use this recently because, as you know, we're doing a customer advisory board group where we're picking the issues they're going to talk about. And so I use ChatGPT to say, what are the issues facing this particular industry? And then I can continue kind of evolving those around, well, change it to be like the issues around sales related things, or change to be the issues around people. When I review those results, there were several really good topic areas that I wouldn't have thought of, because they're not the recent things that people asked me that I could remember. And so I can see doing this to just say, let me broaden kind of that thinking of what are people doing.
Yeah, that's great. And yeah, because we all kind of get in our like our little box of like, this is what it is, right? But like helping us think outside that box and come up with more and more ideas and fresh ideas. Even if it's topics like you've written about 100 times and you really know the topic, it just also helps you come up with fresh ways to approach it. So yeah, I think that's great. This is just another screen showing you more of that output from that one search term I put in there. So, and again, they're not all going to be perfect. Like, why business cash flow forecast? But these are things people are searching, like they're typing that into Google. So you can take that and then kind of rephrase it so it's grammatically correct and kind of what you want it to, how you want to state it. Okay, so now we're going to go through a series of prompts. So this is where it gets really, I'm going to get really hands-on with, like, you can take these and replicate it to create the actual blog post, and to create blog post after blog post after blog post. So from all of that kind of content generation, idea generation that we just did, we did some brainstorming. I've got my list in Excel if I'm an accountant, or wherever I put it, and I'm going to pick what topic I want to talk about. So prompt number 1, I'm going to put into ChatGPT. I want to write an SEO optimized blog post on whatever that topic was that I decided. I don't want you to write it yet, but please confirm you understand. Right now, we're just training ChatGPT to get us the output we want, but we're giving it a series of prompts to get it to where the final output is as close as possible to what we actually want to use to good content. And again, it's not always going to be perfect, but it's going to give you a really, really good starting point. It's going to save you a lot of time on the actual writing of that content. So number 2, we're going to go into, and I say if applicable because sometimes this doesn't always work to give you what you need here, but if it works, this is a step 2 that you can use. In the article, you should answer the following questions. And then I'm going to show you in the next couple of slides how to come up with these questions. But this is a tool that you can use to help optimize your post even more for SEO. So I'm going to show you. So once we pull those 3 to 5 questions, we're going to insert those into the prompt here, and I'll show you how to get them. So here I'm changing up my example a little bit, but this is a topic we were writing on about 4 years ago, how to prepare my business for an economic downturn or recession. So I'm typing that into Google just to see kind of what questions Google is going to help me understand that people are asking. There's a section when you search in Google where it has people also ask. You're probably familiar with that, Tom. Like, when you're searching something and you see, oh yeah, that's a good question. You see other questions related to that same topic.
I'm not as unique as I think I am, right? Yeah. I'm asking this question, like, it thought instantly what I was going to ask or predicted.
Yeah, Google's helping you understand what you're actually asking. Right?
Yep.
So this section in Google is giving you other questions related to that same topic. Now, what you want to do here is if I click that little down arrow, it's going to give me a little blurb from some blog post or some website somewhere where it's answering that question. But if once I click on it, it also populates more questions below it. So each one I click on, it keeps giving me more questions under that same section. And then I can pull from that. Maybe there's one or two questions that I like that I can say, oh, this fits perfectly with the blog post that I'm writing, and I want to address that specific question. Or maybe you have 3 to 5. So, whatever that looks like, or depending on the topic, sometimes I found that I don't find anything really that helpful, so I just skip this one, right? But if there are some in there, these are now like kind of subheaders within your blog post that you can expand on. All right, so prompt number 3 in this series is another, I didn't put this, but this is also like if applicable. But if you have things like another blog post that speaks to this topic that you want to link to, or you have a white paper somewhere, or some sort of resource that you want to make linkable within your post that you're writing, you tell ChatGPT that you want it to link to that specific thing. So I also want you to include already anchored hyperlinks within the text for the following, and then you list them out. So you might have, maybe you have like a guide, like we have a virtual CFO guide. So maybe within my text, I want somewhere, I want there to be a link. So it's not like you're just linking it and there's like a link, but like hyperlinked text where it's saying virtual CFO guide, and then it's linked and it goes directly to that. As a marketer, it saves a lot of time trying to decide where you can fit in links to other pieces of content. It just is doing it for you. Again, you're telling it, don't write it yet, but just confirm you understand. You're going to get this great little whatever, really helpful response from ChatGPT, like very, very polite, yes, I understand, and I'm ready to do this, and let me know when you're ready, kind of thing.
So Kelly, I haven't done that before. How often, so I've never done the do not write but confirm. How often is it that you realize it doesn't understand and then you're going back and sort of correcting this number 3? Does that happen very often where it's coming back saying, I think you want to do this, and you're like, nope, you're wrong. Let me reframe the way I'm telling you what to do.
I can't say I've had that happen before. Sometimes
Okay.
I'll have glitches with ChatGPT where I just think it's just a busy time or something and there's too many people on it, and I'll get like weird responses, really weird, unhelpful responses. But these are just quick, like it's reading your text and saying like, okay, got it. And then, so I've never had that. I'm not saying it couldn't happen, but
okay, that's helpful.
Yeah. But okay, so step number 4, okay, please go ahead and write reminding it, SEO optimized post with a minimum of 1,000 words in my voice. Now, I have an asterisk here because I wanted to mention, if you haven't trained ChatGPT already on your voice, you can do that. So one way that you can do that is you can actually take a piece of content that you wrote. So if you have a blog post that you wrote, or something that is actually your writing style, you can upload that to ChatGPT and ask it to summarize your writing style, your tone, and your voice. And then when you say here in my voice, and then you can remind it, remember my voice is, and use that summary that it gave you. So you're just training it to be you, right? To write as you. Another thing I want to mention about this is that when I say minimum of 1,000 words, I rarely get content from ChatGPT that meets any kind of minimum that I request. So it does not count the words. Even though you tell it to, it doesn't. But I put in like 1,000 words or maybe 1,500 words or whatever to try to get back close to that. So if I can get in that like 700 to 1,000 word range, that's great. It's a great starting point. You might find that maybe it's coming back with shorter content, then you can remind it that you asked for that word count. It'll kick back something else, still probably not the word count you want, but I don't know why that one is, it does not give you what you requested when you ask for a word count. But again, like you might find an area where it's like, okay, maybe you can expand on this area and then kind of kick that one back. So don't expect a perfect response for the word count that you ask for, but what you really want is close to a certain amount, and that usually you can get that.
We have a question I think is perfect for this timing. So a question and a comment. So it says, Kelly, do you create these similar prompts every time you start a new chat window? I notice whenever I start a new chat window, I have to create the scenarios again. Do you
That's
want to
a
address
great
that?
question. So this was something I did not understand until I went to a master class. I mean, this was months ago now, but it was kind of eye-opening. I didn't understand this, but those threads in ChatGPT are really important. So I will name my thread. So this thread might be something like blog post generator. And so then in certain ways that you use ChatGPT, and if you're using it in Chrome, you can actually create kind of like shortcuts so
Mm,
these prompts are already in there, and you can just type a word and it will put the prompt in. Otherwise, you can keep it in like a Excel spreadsheet or a document somewhere where you can just copy and paste. But so you still want to go through this entire series one by one, but it's best if you do it in one thread. Does that make sense? Like that
mhm.
one. Okay. I don't know if that's called a thread,
Yeah.
but yeah, whatever that's called in that same kind of thing. So I name them whatever. I've got like thousands of them, but I name them whatever the kind of the thing is that I'm doing within that thread. So that it's trained within that thread. And so you've trained it on your voice. The next time you do this series, you wouldn't have to say, and remember my voice is,
Okay.
although I still do, because I think it still needs those reminders.
Okay. That's really helpful.
Okay. All right, so series of prompts. Number 5. Okay. So then now we've gotten the content, right? We've gotten the blog post. It's maybe 700 to 1,000 words, or maybe you're writing 500-word blog post. You don't have to use my word count. You just whatever kind of word count that you would normally write, you kind of work towards that. If you're blogging, you know that typically your blog platform is going to ask for a meta description. So use ChatGPT to give it to you. So write me a one sentence SEO optimized meta description for this post you're going to want it to be 156 characters or less. So copy and paste that in, get that. And then getting a title that is, you can ask it to give you, we started with that question, which you could just use that question or like a restated, not the question, but a statement, of that
Hmm.
title. But you could also say, give me 3 to 5 attention grabbing SEO optimized titles for this post that I could choose from. And it's going to give you back a few options and then you can pick what you like.
Hmm.
And if you don't like any of them, you can say, try again. I do that sometimes, always politely, but please, sir, try again. I did not like those.
And I think you're pointing this out, but that's one of the things I like about ChatGPT, different than like a Google. If it is missing, you're able to say, like in your 3 to 5, give me 3 to 5 more. Give me 3 to 5 more that are more tailored toward this kind of audience. And it'll take what it did before and continue to revise that. Or if it gives you 50 bullet points when you ask for something, you can say, summarize it. Give me the same thing, but summarize it to 5 bullet points. It's very interactive and sort of takes that feedback and changes.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I do that a lot. And I've even found some, fun kind of I don't know if it's a prompt, but kind of redirections that you can give it to say, actually that was kind of off the mark. Like, let's try
Mm,
again and, just kind of retrain it. Sometimes that's necessary. So with this, so we've gone through an entire, we've gotten a whole blog post, the title, the
the
meta
hyperlinks. Yep.
description, all of that stuff, right? So we've got it ready to go. I recommend at that point, then reading through it and just making sure it's your voice or seeing if there are parts where you can add a story that's personal, where you can make it really your content. So you're going to get something that's pretty darn close. Because I mean, I've done this. It can be pretty close to feeling like it came from you. But sometimes, like I've had ChatGPT put in words where I'm like, I would never say that word. So I am not, So you want to make sure that you're combing through it and making sure that it really feels like your voice. I wouldn't ever just take something and just word for word put it out there. But this 6 prompt series is going to save you, in my mind, 2 to 3 hours of time of
Yeah.
writing that blog post. I mean, if you're writing a 1,000 word blog post like this just saved you a lot of time, and it's worth taking another 15 to 20 minutes to read it and make sure that you're making it more, authentic to your voice.
Okay.
All right. Okay, so blog post. So you do not have to do this at all for your blog post, but I just think this is fun. So I wanted to share a way that you can create an AI generated image for your blog post. So you could just you can just find an image to add to your blog post. I always recommend having an image with a blog within your blog post, and then also an image that you can share on social media when you share the blog post. If you're only sharing text in your, on LinkedIn or Twitter, Facebook, wherever you're sharing content, images just really help make your post more engaging. So again, you can just pull an image from Canva, but in this example, I went back to our kind of recession topic, and I was like, okay, what would I tell ChatGPT for that specific post? And so I typed in a young businessman in survival mode in an economic crisis, because I was trying to think of making it look like a apocalypse kind of thing, and but like a business person. And this is what it gave me. So this is an
cool.
AI-generated image. Yes. Again, you don't have to do that. But I'm also seeing I'm seeing AI-generated images more and more on LinkedIn. So people are writing a post and they're putting an image that they're creating in more than likely in Canva, although maybe they're using something else. But so it's kind of a new thing. So if you haven't done it yet, try it and see if you can add a little bit of kind of flair to your post if you're just doing text.
I like this. And as I reviewed the slides before here, I thought of the way I have done this has been like Google image searches. But the problem is, you put in this kind of prompt and I find that I'm reviewing probably 200 pictures where you're going, well, I didn't want a cartoon and I didn't want this. And so it just takes so long to do. And I like this kind of, you can get much more specific with the different adjectives you use and probably get a lot closer. And like you said, I haven't tried this, but you can create your own picture, right? Here's the couple images and merge these together and make a very specific picture that you want.
Or even so you can, Canva also has a library of images. So if you just want to pull an image of, some sort of business kind of image, you can do that with your post, but have fun with it. I mean, why not just play with it? It takes 2 minutes to come up with an image. So I think it's fun to play with.
Yeah. We do have a question related. I think it's related to this. So the question is, do you have ChatGPT create the prompt for you in the same thread? I think they're talking about the picture. I'm not positive. Do you have ChatGPT create the prompt for you in the same thread? I'm looking at this Canva prompt. We're doing that. Could that be like, give me a picture to go along with it? Okay.
Absolutely
she
could
clarified.
do that.
Yes, for the picture.
Yes, that's a good. Okay. So I didn't in this case because I wasn't actually writing a blog post with this. I was just putting this together for the presentation. But yes, you absolutely could do that. You could add a prompt number 7 to the series saying, I want to create something. This is what I would put in there is I want to create an image to go along with this post. I'm using Canva. Please write me a 5 to 10 word prompt to put into Canva to help go along with the topic of this blog post, something like that. Yes, that's a great question. And you absolutely could do that.
This might be a good time, Kelly, to ask you you've given some really good prompts. It could give the impression that I can have AI write all of my blog posts and post them for me without much review or interaction from me in that. You want to talk a little bit about the risks of doing that?
Well, you can. And that's where I was talking about, it's worth spending another, 15 to 20 minutes to read through the post and to make it more authentic to you. There's also tools that you can use for copyright, like
checks and infringement type.
Yeah, like a copyright
plagiarism kind of things.
Yeah. So there are tools that you can put it into and just make sure that but I just wouldn't take it exactly like what it gives you. And just to be clear, we don't write posts like this actually for Summit, for our team. We actually are writing our posts, but I have done this. So that's why I wanted to share kind of this whole way that you can get to this point. Another thing you could do is you could actually take, if you're doing like a webinar like this or a podcast episode or whatever, you can also feed ChatGPT that transcript and tell it to turn it into content from that. You could say, I'm trying to write this article, whatever. And it's going to give you a starting point, but it's always just a starting point. You want to make sure that you're not just putting stuff out there that is just generic content, but that you're making it, making it yours.
I think that's smart. Yeah. I know it can be, especially if it's not your full-time job to be writing content, it can take a lot of time. And if you think I should be putting out a blog post once a week, I could see thinking I could get ChatGPT to write an article in 5 minutes. But if you're putting out just general kind of mediocre content because you're not writing it, you're really just checking a box. It gives a great chance to make it really good and do what you want. But I'd really discourage people from thinking you can just dump things and then be happy that you've got a bunch of blog posts. Because if people read them and they don't get much, then they're not coming back to read future ones probably.
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah. So can you write a blog post in 5 minutes and post it? Yes, you can. Should you do that? Probably not. You should spend the time to make sure that it's good. And, you know, when I put in their SEO optimized, it doesn't always give you the best SEO optimization either. And not that you need to be an expert in that, but just to know, you know, what is the keyword that I want to write about? What are the search terms that people are going to be using? And to look at it as a human and to make sure that you're humanizing your post as much as possible. Okay, so we did put together, these are not AI generated, but these are a couple of templates. We just wanted to create some tools in here for you all. So we've created these templates for you also that are in Canva. So if you haven't used Canva yet, this will help be a good starting point for you. Or even if you're using Canva, these are just a couple of resources that you can use. So if you're watching this live, you can grab these now, or just remember that you're going to get the slides after, so you can grab them later. But we just put together a couple of templates that you can use. So if you're doing a podcast, this is a template that you can just swap out your logo, your title, you know, the people, all of that. Or if you're doing a blog post, this is a very simple one where you can swap out just the title of the blog post and the logo. But we wanted to share these with you because although, so Canva, what we were just talking about with ChatGPT and kind of like how you can kind of just get some crappy content also, like some content that's not that great, right? Canva, not that anything in Canva is crappy, but Canva has a lot of templates that you can start with, but people are also very aware of what's a Canva template. So when I see content all the time that I'm like, that came from Canva, right? So it's a good starting point, but you also want to make it as much yours as possible. So these are just a couple that we thought we'd share some templates that are not Canva templates that everyone's going to know as a Canva template, but it gives you a starting point if you wanted to kind of play with these and make them yours. Okay, so we're going to move on to podcasts. Maybe not everyone in here is doing podcasts, and that's okay. And this will be shorter. I'm going to kind of go through the podcast and video and social media next. I would love to know if you are doing podcasts, whether you're doing your own or you're guesting on podcasts. Feel free to put that into the questions function and just kind of let us know whether or not that's something you're doing. I just put in a few tools here, and I'll show you some examples of kind of what we get out of these tools with our podcast. So we've got show notes. We use PodSqueeze, and then for transcription, we currently use Otter. We used to use Descript, and I'm actually going to cover Descript in this section and the video section. So I wanted to include it here so I can show you how it works. So with PodSqueeze, this is what it looks like. We upload our podcast episode into PodSqueeze, and it helps us generate the show notes. I can't even tell you how many hours this saves, because we used to, before all of these tools became available in the last year or two, we listened to every podcast episode, and we do, Tom knows, our team does a lot of podcasts.
We do, yes.
We have four different podcasts on different schedules, but basically like we've got one or two every week that are going out, and we would have to listen to the entire episode to come up with our own written summary of what we covered in the episode, any quotes, like, so I would pause it and I would timestamp the quotes, and it took forever. Like our podcasts aren't an hour, but like a 40-minute podcast might take me at least 3 times that just to come up with all of these pieces. So this is a huge time saver if you're doing podcasts. So we use it for, like I said, the show notes. You can see that on the left where it summarizes the podcast. It will pull some quotes for you. It will, give you, again, you may not want to just copy and paste this, but this is something that gives you a really good starting point. So you can listen to the episode and then tweak it. And now it's 40 minutes, or maybe, for a 40-minute episode now, maybe it takes me 50 minutes instead of almost 3 hours, right, to come up with this. And then on the right, it gives me 10 different titles to choose from. So, you could choose from those titles or kind of mix and match or kind of however you want to do that, but it really helps save time on that part of it.
That's cool. I didn't know that was available.
Yes, we love that. And then Otter. So this is how we get our transcriptions. I love that my team used my podcast episode as the example here, but I did a podcast with Peter Benet, Leadership Anywhere podcast. And so they took, and that's really funny. I didn't look at this screenshot that closely, but we started out with trying to figure out how to say my last name. So that's in the transcript. But so this you upload the file and then you get the whole transcript, and it even highlights who said what, right? So Peter was talking and then I was talking. So we've got the whole transcript. You may not use your transcripts if you're doing podcasts. Did we get any responses on that, Tom?
We did not get any.
Okay. All right. So probably none of you are doing podcasts. That's okay.
Yes.
Yeah, that's fine. But even if you have like audio files, if maybe you record, I don't know, meetings or whatever that you want to then, maybe you said something really great in that meeting and you want to then turn it into some sort of content, you can then pull the clip from Otter. So we use this for getting the transcripts. And then what I was going to say about using the transcripts, you can take the transcripts then, and if you are doing podcasts, you can put the transcript in the podcast platform. You can put it in your blog post. It helps with SEO, having all of the actual wording in there so that the keywords that you're covering in there, it makes them searchable. And then Descript, same kind of thing. We're going to get the transcript from it. It will also highlight who said what. It will give you all that information. And then I'm going to cover Descript a little bit more when we get into video, which is now. So video. So creating video clips. If you follow Summit on any platform, if you're following us on LinkedIn or Instagram, you probably know about us that we do a lot of video. Video AI is a tool we discovered in the last couple of years that has been just a game changer. So again, I used to use Descript, and I would watch the entire podcast episode, and then I would highlight any kind of like golden nuggets. Like if Tom said just something's just so amazing in that podcast episode, I would highlight it, I would timestamp it, whatever. And then I could pull that clip from Descript, which was great. It was, Descript is really great for that. It would help me pull the clip from the text. So I would just highlight the text, and then I could export that clip. Was fantastic for that. However, now with video AI, I can upload the whole video and then it just makes the clips for me. It finds those golden nuggets, which is really, really cool.
It's amazing.
So here's an example, or here's kind of showing the video AI process. So we've uploaded a video. Now on the left, you can see here's all the clips that it gave me. So it pulled, this was probably a 45-minute podcast episode, or not even 30, maybe a 30-minute podcast episode. And it pulled 26 videos for me that are like probably mostly around 30 seconds to a minute. And these are things that people are saying in that episode that it said, people are, here's a good clip that you should pay attention to, right? Then we have the virality score. So it's like, this is basically like the best at the top, right? This one's really, really good, down to like maybe some of the less, less good, less good clips, right? So like, maybe the first 5 or 10 might be ones that we might pull, maybe the rest we would ignore, but it would give you some really good content to work with. You can then create a template in video AI with your branding and however you like, what feels good to you, right? Like, so sometimes you've seen all kinds of videos with like the captions are like popping in and out, like, or it's just like down at the bottom, whatever that kind of like look and feel that you want, you can create that template. And then from there on, your videos are in that template. It's, you can create multiple templates, but like, it's going to then kind of do that work for you. It's now formatted that way. And then it creates the captions for you as well. So you can see that on the right. So we just put together a couple examples here showing how we did that. So these again are each like 30 to 40-minute podcast episodes that we did. We pulled let's see, the one on the left is a 34-second clip. The one on the right is a 49-second clip. And then this clip, and the branding is different. You can see we use different templates for each of them, because the one on the left is our Cannabis Success Show, which we just launched last month, and then the Creative Agency Success Show that we have for our target client. And then this gives them just like a little snippet of what was covered in the episode. And our hope is then that they see that and say, I want to learn more. And then we have the clip or the link for them to go and watch the full episode. So again, hours of work saved by using that video AI tool that we used to be doing manually and now can just, and again, like, it's not just like super easy. I don't want to like take any credit away from the work that is being done to do this, or give you false like hope that it's like, just upload it and it's just super easy. But it is a huge time saver for us when we're doing this type of content all the time.
And this seems to fit so well, Kelly, as we have had other webinars around leveraging your content. So you do a podcast, but if that can turn into maybe a or multiple blog articles and multiple videos, and there's probably something I'm not thinking of, if that can turn into 15 pieces of content, that's where you get some real leverage. And you're saying you got tools that make that easier for us to do.
Yes. Yeah. And I always say, if you're doing a podcast episode, or if you're doing any kind of, even like if you're writing a blog post, like, don't let it just like, I published it and it's done. Like, there's so many other things that you can do with that piece of content to create. So, and that's a great plug, Tom, for a couple of the webinars that we've done recently, where we talked about repurposing your content. So, you know, on our YouTube channel, we have all of the webinars that we've done are in there in different playlists. So you can look for our CPE webinars playlist and watch some of those if you weren't there for those, because they will help you understand how you can get the most out of that content. You're spending the time on that content, so make sure that you really maximize the reach that you're getting with that.
Yep.
Descript. So I kind of mentioned this already, but so here's a little clip of Hannah talking. And so if I wanted to make a clip of, whoops, I just clicked, so it went back. Make a clip of that second paragraph. I can highlight that paragraph and it will create a video of that second paragraph of what she's saying there, and then I can export that video. So you can do the same kind of thing in Descript, but it's going to take a lot more time. So you're doing it manually, but there may be something where you remember, like, I said this and it was gold, and you know, whatever, you want to pull that clip. So you can do that really easily. Okay, and then social media. So whether or not you were doing podcasts or video, you're probably doing social media. So here are some ideas or ways that you can use AI for your social media content generation. Again, we're going to go back to ChatGPT, and we're going to go back to Pod Squeeze, because these are two things that that I have covered already, but you can use in this portion as well. So here we have, so this is ChatGPT, and a prompt that, again, you can copy this prompt and use this. We trained ChatGPT here. You are a world-class copywriter and social media manager. You are promoting a new blog on social media and want to capture, here's our target audience. Then we ask it to write an optimized post for each platform: LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. And you can see on the right the response, which gives us each of those. We don't have all of them in the screenshot, but you can see, like, here's what it gave me for LinkedIn. Here's what it gave me for Twitter. It's got the hashtags in there. I don't always think ChatGPT comes up with the best hashtags. So I caution you to just kind of like look at those and say, like, are people actually using this? Sometimes I've searched on them and found like nobody's using this hashtag. So I don't know how it comes up with the hashtag. You might keep a list of the hashtags you want to frequently use if you're talking about the same kind of topics. But anyway, so here we've got all of these posts that it has generated for us. And then Pod Squeeze, this is using that podcast episode. So going back to Pod Squeeze, if you're using it, if you're doing podcasts, this is giving us some generated content, like just, part of what it spits back out when you upload the episode. And here are the social media posts that it's recommending for LinkedIn and Facebook to share that. And then we put together just our toolbox. So you're going to get these slides, you're going to have access to everything, but here's just a quick and easy one that you can take a picture of, snapshot of. So we've got all the tools that we use that I talked about: Pod Squeeze, Otter, Descript, Video AI, ChatGPT, and Canva. So
Kelly, as you look at the tools, some of these like ChatGPT has a free version and a paid version. Any thoughts on these tools like Expense? And I don't know if they also offer free versus paid, what your advice would be?
most of them are pretty inexpensive. So ChatGPT is $20 a month.
That's the
I
paid
pay
version.
it just
Yep.
because, yeah, I'm like, yeah, so you could do it for free, but like, there's some limitations, and
Hmm.
there's just additional functionality. So, I pay for the $20.
Right.
Canva, I think, is 25 a month. It's also pretty
Okay.
inexpensive.
Yeah.
The others, like, so Video AI, you can do, I think, so much a month for free. And the others I don't know off the top of my
Okay.
head.
That helps.
Um, I mean, I think with any of them, do the trial and see if you find it helpful. And if you're using it and you feel like that functionality is worth it, they're all fairly inexpensive, but
Hmm.
they might be $100 a month, maybe, for some of the other ones.
Yeah,
But
as one example for me in ChatGPT, in the free version, you can't actually put files in there. So I want to do something to analyze a spreadsheet. So I can't drop a spreadsheet in the free version. I can cut and paste, but that is a challenge. Putting the paid version, you can do that. So you could put in a presentation and ask it some questions about, give me some feedback if it was this kind of an audience. Putting in a PowerPoint presentation in the free version, I'm not sure how you would do this. I don't know how you cut and paste that. So there's an
yeah.
efficiency that is much easier for that. I'm sure there are many more features that I'm not getting, but that was worth it to me for $20.
Yeah. 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 And, when I talked about, like, so again, I don't think many people in here are doing podcasts, but like Pod Squeeze, for example, it might, I don't remember what it is, might be $100 a month or whatever. But like, to me, that was saving hours of time for us. So it was well
Mm-hmm.
worth it for us. But if you're not doing podcasts, or if you're only doing one once in a while, it may not be worth that kind of tool. You might kind of combine the idea of what you get out of Pod Squeeze with something like ChatGPT to create a summary, Otter to create or Otter or Descript to create the transcripts that you can then put into ChatGPT to get the summary. So there are ways to kind of do it a little more, practically, whatever, if you're not going to use it that often. But again, like Video AI, I'm pretty sure you get like up to an hour of free video content that you could do in the month before you have to start paying. So if that's all you're using, then that's all you would need to
Okay.
do is the free version.
That is great.
Yeah. So Tom, I'm going to pass it back over
Yeah.
to you.
Thank you so much, Kelly. This was really helpful. We got lots of really good questions and feedback and everything. The last question was sort of what opportunity is there with your marketing efforts? And we had 74% saying it should be part of your normal practice to enhance things. So hopefully you influence people toward that answer, because that's a lot of people saying
Yeah,
that.
absolutely.
So,
A year ago, I wasn't sure, but it is like, I would say ChatGPT is about my best friend during the day. I'm like using it all day long, and I am in it all the time. So I don't know how people function without it anymore, but yeah.
that's great. I love it. Well, we hope people want to keep learning. And I will tell you, the Modern CPA Success Show is a podcast that I host along with Adam Hale. As Kelly mentioned, other things we have, and you'll see this is in our YouTube, but other things we have in the YouTube channel. And I know, Kelly, you mentioned leveraging your marketing. We've done webinars with you in the past, and also Stephen Pope. So if people are looking for our webinars, I know those are two if you want to explore more around kind of leveraging content marketing and those topics. So if you want to be a little bit more interactive than just the podcast, and we hope that you do, we also manage a Slack channel, the VCFO community. And so we hope that people will take advantage of that. If you look at that slide, you can see the promotional channel or the promotional option we have for people. So in there, you can ask questions. We curate a lot of those topics. There's also other accountants. I know someone who is in here today had recently asked a question. There were other accountants chiming in and saying, how do you do that? And their question had to do with how do you bill clients in the most effective way? So lots of questions that people can ask around that. I mentioned I'm a virtual CFO. We actually teach people how to do this, kind of everything we do in our playbook. You're
I'm
fine.
messing up your slides.
Nope, totally good. So this is a pretty intensive 15 module course, but the reason is because we really think that people can come out of this and deliver CFO services. So from our templates, all the content that we do. You become a member of that CFO community. As you finish, there's a coaching session that Adam and Hale I have with people to help them get started to do that. And we have a weekly meeting that I facilitate where people can call in and talk about their experiences and ask me and each other about questions for that. So we hope that people would like that. And finally, if you look at all that and Kelly or I have influenced you at all and you're saying, we would rather just join your organization, we are hiring people and we hope that you would check us out for career opportunities. So thank you, everyone. Thanks for being interactive today. We hope that you got a lot out of this. And Kelly, thank you very much. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, Tom.
Everyone have a great day.